Lentini, and I'm the founder and director of Lord and Lentini, and I'm also certified as a PQ coach in the PQ program, which is the positive quotient developed by Shirzad Chamine. And today, my sales training and leadership training goes through Southwestern Consulting, and I got certified for their program a couple of years ago. September, it'll be 2 years. And because I find their work fascinating, it's coaching with training or training with coaching, however way you want to look at it. And my own work is about the acorn brain. And what I find about most training programs and most companies looking for training, they have a very small-minded view about it. Often, for example, in sales training, they're looking for tactics and techniques for their people to get over future prospects and close something. And it's a bizarre thought because it's very limited thinking. It's run by this little thinker, this little voice we all have in our heads, or at least I do. And I'm often relieved when I ask groups that I speak to how many people, by a show of hands, have a little voice, an insidious little voice that's speaking to them, sometimes 24 hours a day, and maybe even interrupting a good night's sleep. That voice is actually a gift. And for people that learn how to be authentic and manage that voice, they bring that authenticity everywhere. They don't need tactics and techniques to close people. Most of my work, and I've got some clients, I have one that I visit once a month for 25 years, and I coach them in between the live visits. And I have other clients for over 20 years, 15 years, 12 years. It's not unusual. And what they continue to work on, what's helped them succeed is they continue to look at the stories they tell themselves. Number one, I put it in one of my books, No BS Coaching. The story you tell yourself. You got to wake up from the stories you tell yourself. And we all get hooked on stories, which is fascinating. We might have a complaint about a boss or a complaint about the company, or we're not getting somewhere in life because of the company, or because you're just not lucky. This is that brain, and we can learn to run it. And that's a lot of the work that I do. And that's where people find success. Often, in fact, my clients have amazed themselves. They achieve things that they didn't think was possible in their mind. In fact, they didn't even imagine it. It's gone beyond what they imagined as they learned to train their mind. The other book I wrote was How to Train Your Mind, written by a dragon. Right? These are on Amazon. If you Google books by Steve Lentini, you'll find them. And training the mind is like going to the gym. Now, when we go to the gym, we see a result. If we're disciplined and we commit to it, we don't go once a month. We go 3 or 4 or 5 times a week. Some people go every day. They see a result in their body, their physical appearance, their strength. With the mind, it's more challenging for people to go to what I call the neuro gym. And self-talk is really critical for salespeople and leaders as part of their success. What story are you telling yourself? And going to the neuro gym is something that you have to go to every day or 3 or 4 days a week. I suggest every day, a few minutes, maybe it's 10 minutes, but have a process every day that you go to the neuro gym where you train your mind. You run the machine, as Gurdjieff called it, George Ivanovich Gurdjieff. Or you run the little hooligan, as Rainier Maria Rilke called it, or as Deepak Chopra calls it, the little tyrant. Why is it there are so many names for that voice in our heads? Because it's insidious. It's very powerful. And when you look around society today, you can see that 95% of people believe they're thinking, and they're often just living as a reaction They're moving, they're going here, they're going there because they only react. They don't respond. And when that brain, let's suppose there's a failure for a moment, a place where you've made an error in judgment or made an error in work, or maybe didn't close a customer. The acorn brain will remind you, that little voice will remind you often of where you fell down. And it'll often pop into our consciousness at the most bizarre times. You might be writing to a client from a sale that went well and going to the next call, and your brain reminds you of the ones that didn't go so well. That's because, and neuroscientists are proving this, that the proclivity for most people is to default to the negative. Shirzad Chamine wrote about this and did research. His book is called Positive Intelligence, and he did work with Stanford. They did fMRIs on people and found where the negative thoughts were lighting up in the brain, in the neocortex. So it lights up in one part of the brain, and they also know through some of their work that because of our past, because of our caveman days, believe it or not, right? The past is only present in DNA. It keeps bringing itself forward, and we have that proclivity to default to the negative because of survival instinct. And really, we have a lot fewer challenges today when it comes to surviving. There are challenges, of course, but we don't have to worry about getting eaten by a saber-toothed tiger when we go out to the supermarket, right? We're going for food. In caveman days, you had to worry whether you would get back to the cave or not. Now, some of that hard wiring is still with us. And so that's the proclivity to default to the negative. And it takes work. So Shirzad Chamine and Stanford did fMRIs on people and found that as they went through a neurogym process to default more often to the positive with certain exercises, they found that there were new neural pathways lighting up. Actually, new neural pathways on the opposite side of where the negative lit up in the neocortex, in the frontal cortex. So there is a result to going to the neurogym and managing what you tell yourself, but it's more than managing what you tell yourself with affirmations. And they're good, they're a part of it. It's more recognizing the negative thinking, recognizing the judge, recognizing the acorn brain, and then catching it, knowing that it lies. So you put a default pattern in that tells that brain, wait, you lie. And this is the truth. And then you speak the truth to your mind, which over time, by the way, new neural pathways that are positive open. Much like a stroke victim. Stroke victims, they can track new neural pathways because the brain has neuroplasticity. Look it up. Neuro researchers have known this about stroke victims for a long time. They recover because new neural pathways open. The brain wants that person to regain certain functionality. It remembers some of it, and then through physical training and other training, people can speak again, they can walk again, they can operate and function as they did. It's the same with your insidious little voice. If you discipline yourself and you catch that voice and you put in a different response, it could be that you learn when you hear that voice judging someone, or you getting angry or sad and depressed or frustrated, that you just breathe. You do some deep breathing. And then you tell yourself that that voice lies. And then you default more often to something positive because you put that physical break in. And then because you're exercising by going to the neuro gym, it becomes a habit more often as opposed to the negative. Now, why is this important for sales? Because people can sense your energy when you're in front of them. And if you're working on a tactic or a technique because you have your goals in mind and you're trying to close a customer, closing techniques, this is such a waste of time in training. And tell me, and I'll tell you, I used to do it, right? I owned the license for a national sales training program at one time. I developed my own work because I realized as people became grounded, were more authentic, and learned to program their mind with gratitude breaks, with recognizing we live in a miracle, we live in a universe, and that there's laws about living in a universe, that the universe is all energy, and that when we're in front of someone, we want to have the energy of helping them buy. And when we're helping people buy, we're detached from outcomes. That's something else that people recoil from when they hear it because they're looking for a technique and a tactic. So when you tell them, hey, detach from outcomes and be there fully, authentically, curious, develop curiosity, and ask people questions. What's your experience right now? Why is it that thank you for this appointment. I'm grateful. And there must be a reason that you're looking for X, whatever it is, looking for our software solution, looking for our distribution solution, looking for our medical devices, looking for whatever it is, the industry you're in, because it doesn't have to be industry specific, because this is about awareness and about presence and about energy and about serving people. And they sense it that you're there to help them. So tell me about your experience now. Thank you for the appointment. I'm grateful. And what's happening that you're looking for our service or a service to help you? What would you like your experience to be? Let's suppose you change. What would you like the future to look like? What would you like that experience to be? Today, what are you experiencing? In the past, when you've made these kind of changes, because people are thinking about the last time they made a change, it didn't go so well. So this time they want to make a change because it's the solution they picked the last time isn't working. They want to understand what's it going to be like and how can you help them? And there again, it's about being authentic, because a lot of salespeople make big promises because they're attached to an outcome, which I call commission breath, and it stinks. So when you say to people, well, when we make these changes, it takes a while for it to get running smoothly. It might take 6 weeks. If it's software, this might take 6 months before it's really smooth. And then when you ask us for changes and upgrades and things like that, there will probably be some challenges. But we're here and we support it. And I have clients you can speak to, because that's the truth about software. I remember a software company that I did some work with years ago that told their salespeople to just tell them we can do it in a few weeks. It was a lie. And then customers were mad at them because it never happened that way. They were over-promising and under-delivering, and then wondering why they had a poor reputation. That's the other thing about good salespeople and understanding what their professional responsibility is. They work for companies that have integrity. And if their company makes some kind of a promise and they don't deliver, then they call the company out. And they make sure they work with companies that actually have integrity. And if you're just trying to close something to make a commission, you're not serving your customers. And by the way, that's an energy as well that I talk about in my programs, because the universe is all energy. It will match the energy that you put out, because there are black holes in the universe. There are even objects that we are still discovering today that baffle physicists. So that if you're managing a positive energy, you're helping your company have a great reputation. You only work for companies that have a great reputation, and everybody makes mistakes, but you're the one who stands up to protect your company's reputation, even if you have to go to the CEO. It's an energy, but you have to prove this to yourself. That's why I've had companies working with me for over 20 years. Like I said, 25. And I've been able to see their progress, and most of it comes from their awareness and how they adjust the mind and how they look at the world, how they look at their customers, their approach to helping people. And it isn't willy-nilly Pollyanna doing good. It's living by a code of integrity and doing good. And they see that that energy that they put out returns to them. Like I said, that takes some time. You have to prove it to yourself. Now, I'm not asking you to work with me for over 25 years or 21 years or 15 years, 10 years, 12 years. I start with a simple program. I start with a program, and then people choose to stay because I'm serving them. I'm helping them. I'm around long enough to prove that the work makes a difference. And some of it, of course, is based on a foundation of a spiritual belief. I don't care what it is, but I do ask people, do you have a belief in something bigger than you? A higher power, whatever you call it. That's important. That's not part of most sales programs because they're working on giving people ideas on how to close somebody, tactics and techniques. And there's very little talk about being authentic. Companies that want to support their sales team in being authentic, here's what they do, and here's how I help them. I look at their customer book and I say, listen, your customer book tells us a story. Who are the people that are really profitable? They love you. They're productive customers. You help them become more productive, and they love you. Those are your A customers. It might even be some companies have called them, there are A plus customers. Then there's the A customers. Then there's even the B customers. And then there's often in every company, there's the D customers. They're not productive. They're not as profitable. And often even maybe abusive to staff or abusive to deadlines. And anyway, they start, you get the picture. They're more costly to serve. And the error was the company didn't teach them to let them go up front, what I call knowing how to say no. Here's how that looks. We wouldn't be able to say yes to working with you. Here's what I'm concerned about. Or from what I'm hearing, I'm not sure that we're a fit. The customer usually asks, well, why? Tell me why. They don't always. But believe me, if they're telling you from your questions, you're being curious and authentic, you're trying to find the fit for them and for you. It's a two-way street. When you hear that they're going to be one of your D customers in the future, why would you say yes to that? And why salespeople do is because companies, the leadership is responsible for that because they ask, what did you close lately? We got a budget. We got a target. We got to hit the growth number. I'm not saying having a goal is a bad idea. What I'm saying is driving people without boundaries is not going to help your company in the long run. So that's leadership's responsibility to say, these are the people we're looking for. These are the traits of the customers that we enjoy, that are healthy for us, productive, profitable, and they love us. And here are the questions to ask so that you're curious. Are they an A plus? Are they an A? Are they a B? Maybe we'll take a few C's because we can train them. But if they're a D, we're going to say, I'm not sure what we do is a fit for you. I'm concerned about that. I don't think we'll be able to help you. And then maybe you have a company that would enjoy working with that tier of customer. Maybe you have a referral partner. But it's a concept that's way above tactics and techniques and closing strategies. I've worked with people with after a back and forth conversation because I'm curious and I'm asking a lot of questions. And if I don't get a real an opportunity to talk to people live, typically I know that's not going anywhere. But I like to help people. Sometimes they buy books. They don't often buy training, but they end up buying books. Often I'll gift one book to a decision maker to help them. But if it's not going to be a live conversation, it's typically not going to work for me because it's different than being taught something, teach tactics and techniques. It's very different to learn a presence and this mindset and an energy, and that you need to teach your people to manage the energy they're projecting. When they get in front of somebody, for example, if they have a grievance about you or the company or something that happened at home, if they don't clear that, the customer can sense it. That's why they can sense when you're there only for your own goals, by the way. And if your team is focused on their own goals because you're what I call whipping the ox, what did you close lately? Here are the goals. Man, we got to hit this quarter. We got to hit this next quarter and next quarter and the quarter after that. And then there's year end. If you're whipping the ox, you're not going to get the results. And you might, but it's always going to feel like a struggle, like you're fighting life. The best companies that have long-term success are pushing the cart. They're not whipping the ox. Just think about that analogy for a minute. What are you doing in your company? And then when you're teaching people about being authentic, being grounded, here's what to look for. Here are the questions to ask. So we get A+, A, B, and maybe a few C customers because we think we can train them and maybe they have potential. But below the C, we say, hey, from what I'm hearing, I don't think we can serve you. I don't think we'd be able to say yes to helping you because I don't think we would serve you. You put it on yourself. But that's driven by people not being attached to outcomes. It doesn't mean they don't have goals, but because of their thinking, synchronicities occur. They live in a miracle. They live in something limitless. They're abundance-minded thinkers, and opportunities come to them. Plus, they're always helping others, so others are helping them. They're giving first. Hey, I got a referral for you. And that's how they get referrals. And their business grows over time. I would say after 3 to 5 years, hopefully it's 3 years, you don't have to be cold calling. That new salespeople wouldn't have to be cold calling. That their book grows by referral. In the last 10 years, I've only grown by referral. I haven't done any cold calling. 0. And most of the calls that I'm doing are because somebody said, hey, I think you'd be a good fit for this guy. And I'll ask him, well, do you know him well enough to send him an email or give him a call or send him a text? Well, you could use my name because there are that level of referrals. That's as cold as my calling has been for the work I do. And the other thing is I'm always helping people either on YouTube or with the books I write or video with ideas for free. I give valuable information for free. Something I liked about Southwestern Consulting. That's a part of their creed, is to give the world valuable information for free. We can all help each other win, by the way. And you as a leader need to be helping your sales team win. And then if you're a salesperson, are you helping your customers win? And are you authentic? And have you gotten off of tactics and techniques and just be there. They gave you an appointment for a reason. Something's going on in their company that they're reaching out for new software, new medical device supplier, new construction service, let's say painting or insulation, or they're reaching out to you for a reason. Think about that. You want me to give you a few techniques and tactics before we end this? Yeah, I'll give you one here. Be yourself. Be curious. Develop your curiosity. If your company is by the way, whipping the ox, go to the boss and say, I got an idea. Let's go through the customer book. Let's rate our customers A, B, C, and D. And then let's give our sales team some questions so we can just close more A's, B's, and C's by helping them. Who can we help? Who have we helped? Let's go talk to our customers and ask them their experience of us. There's a big learning. That's a tactic and a technique. Think about that. Let's teach our sales team about the energy they're projecting when they go out and meet people. Are they focused on their own goals, or are they focused on their customers' goals? Let's talk to our top 20%. The 20% of our customers that give us 80% of our revenue, and ask them what their goals are. Because you're going to learn something that you'll find many more people in that same marketplace with those same goals, and you can develop questioning around that. Because you have people that you can say to them, we've helped a lot of companies with those exact same challenges. We've helped them achieve their goals. And we update that every year. What are their goals? What are your new goals? What would you like us to help you with this year? That's a technique. You like that technique? It's much different than expecting to pick up some book on sales or some video on sales, or have a trainer come in with the expectation is, wow, our team is really going to learn and grow here by learning the latest techniques and how to close people. Because if you're not authentic, if you're not teaching them to manage their energy, to manage their self-talk, to manage their curiosity and develop it and learn to detach from outcomes, then I don't care what technique and tactic they learn. I've given you a few that are very valuable, and you've got them for free. Go and try it. Prove it to yourself. Go talk to those 20% of your customers. Ask them what they're looking for next year or for this year to achieve, and how can you help them? You might find a new market to serve within your existing customers. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe you won't. But I've been doing this since 1975. It's going to be 50 years this year. I know I don't look it. And what I've learned along the way is, because when I entered selling, it was features, advantages, benefits. Show them the features, give them the advantages, tell them the benefits, and then ask them to sign here. Would you like this on Monday or Wednesday? The alternative event close. And press hard. There's 3 copies, because there was no computers back then, right? It was all on paper. And I knew it didn't work. It didn't feel right. And I was selling business-to-business supplies, calling on business customers. So I started walking in saying, hey, what's your name? I'm Steve. Oh, Joe. Are you the owner here? Yes, I am. Let's presume this. Go along with me. You're already buying everything I sell. I sell business-to-business supplies. Is there a need for another salesperson to stop in? I don't want to waste your time. Some would say, yeah, there's a need. Okay, tell me about the need. Here's a list. Give me all your prices. All right, let me ask you a question. We don't really do this, or I don't really do this. I don't sit down and fill out prices for everything you're buying. First, I want to understand, let's suppose I do this and bring it back to you tomorrow. What are you going to do with it? Oh, I'm going to give it to my current company and tell them, hey, we got a competitor. They're going to come in lower on these 25 items. I said, we really don't do that. We're looking for customers, and we're looking to help people who want to solve problems. Are you happy with your current supplier? How long have you been with them? Do you know the salesperson well? Do you go out to lunch with him? Does he take you to games, or she take you to games, or buy you dinners? The reason I wanted to know that is I knew the likelihood that they would change if they had been with the same company for 15 years and they knew the salesperson, or 10 years, or even 5 years, the likelihood that they would change. What I discovered were people that were in pain. They had big problems. And so they'd say to me, oh, we get a lot of back orders. We get a lot of problems. We get substitutions. Okay, great. Can we go back and look at what you're using? Anyway, it would develop into a relationship because I uncovered a problem. And then there was a further dialogue. But I also was the master of the obvious because up front they were buying everything that I was selling. Now that was door-to-door cold calling, not phone cold calling. Imagine phone cold calling today. The odds. What are the odds? All right, any questions? You can email me, steve@stevelentini.com. Maybe I can show you the book. There you go. See Steve Lentini in the bottom? That's my spelling. steve@stevelentini.com. I'm glad to give you a free coaching or do a free workshop for your people and your company. First, I want to have a dialogue with you. So reach out to me, and I'm glad to help. It's what I do. Thank you.